Imagine you are fishing on a calm, shallow lake on a Tuesday morning, and suddenly the water begins to spin, the earth starts to groan, and right before your eyes, the entire lake, 3.5 billion gallons of water, is sucked into the center of the earth like a bathtub with the plug pulled. This sounds like the plot of a disaster movie, but on November 20th, 1980, at Lake Peigneur in Louisiana, it was a terrifying reality caused by one of the most expensive mathematical errors in human history. At the center of this catastrophe was a Texaco oil rig, a $5 million structure manned by a crew of 12, who were drilling for oil beneath the lake bed. What they didn't realize was that directly below them, at a depth of 300 feet, was a massive salt mine operated by the Diamond Crystal Salt Company, where over 50 miners were currently working. The disaster began with a simple mistake. The drilling crew had miscalculated their location on the map. Instead of drilling into solid rock next to the salt dome, their 14-inch drill bit punched directly into one of the mine's massive underground caverns. At first, the drill bit just got stuck, and the rig began to tilt dangerously. The crew, realizing something was catastrophically wrong, abandoned the rig just moments before the unthinkable happened. The tiny hole in the lake bed began to widen as the fresh lake water dissolved the salt ceiling of the mine below. It started as a small vortex, but within minutes, it had grown into a monstrous whirlpool, a quarter-mile wide, spinning with ferocious power. The oil rig was swallowed whole in seconds. Then, the suction became so intense that it began to pull in everything around it. 11 massive barges, a tugboat, trucks, and acres of trees were dragged across the lake's surface and sucked down into the abyss. A fisherman on the lake described the sound as a roaring wind as the water vanished from under his boat, leaving him sitting in mud. Meanwhile, 300 feet below ground, the 50 miners were facing an apocalypse. The mine's electrician saw a torrent of muddy water and fuel drums rushing down the mine shaft and immediately sounded the evacuation alarm. The lights flashed 3 times, the signal to run for your life. The miners, some as deep as 500 feet, had to race against the rising water to reaching the elevator shaft. Miraculously, through discipline and quick action, every single one of them made it to the surface just as the mine below them was completely inundated. Back on the surface, the destruction was far from over. The suction from the draining lake was so powerful that it reversed the flow of the Delcambre Canal, a waterway that normally flowed out to the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf began to pour into the crater, creating a temporary 150-foot waterfall, the tallest ever recorded in Louisiana. As the mine filled with water, the displaced air was violently forced back to the surface, erupting as massive 400-foot geysers of water and debris through the mine shafts. In just 3 hours, a 10-foot deep freshwater lake had been completely replaced by a 300-foot deep saltwater crater. The landscape was permanently altered. A beautiful botanical garden on Jefferson Island was decimated, and Texaco and its contractors ended up paying tens of millions of dollars in damages. Yet, in a truly unbelievable twist of fate, despite the complete destruction of a drilling rig, a salt mine, 11 barges, and 65 acres of land, not a single human life was lost that day. The Lake Peigneur disaster stands as a terrifying monument to human error and the awesome, destructive power of physics when the Earth's surface is punctured in the wrong place.